Hey guys, Adam Bartomeo here, the broker with Bartomeo Realty. And again, we're going over the as-is residential contract for purchase and sale. So stay tuned, stay with us. We're on page 2 now. Lots of information. There's a lot of good information in here, and you got to know what you're getting into when you sign these contracts, because you will be legally bound to these contracts, and you should know what you're signing, right? Again, most agents don't even read the contract. They aren't not aware of this, so that's why I'm making these videos. So we're on page 2 right now. 5A and 5B, what does that talk about? That talks about the extension of closing. What if? There's a lot of what if scenarios throughout this entire contract. What if we need to extend? What do we do? So that's what this portion talks about. 6A and 6B, occupancy and possession. So when we close, when do I own the property? When can I possess it? When can I occupy the property? In the state of Florida, it's typically the occupancy is that day unless stated somewhere else in an addendum or there's some kind of agreement made. I have one where the seller is leasing back the property. They're going to stay afterwards, and they're going to pay the buyer money to stay in that property. They're basically leasing it. It's a lease back. What if there's a tenant involved? What happens there? Well, then you have to follow the lease. So it's a month to month. You would give them a 30-day notice. If it's a yearly contract, you have to wait until that contract expires, and then you have to notify them 30 days before and let them know they need to vacate the property. So something to be aware of on those. Assignability is number 7. Assignability is where I can take that contract and I can assign it to someone else or a different business. I own businesses. I've done flips. Sometimes I will write a contract in my own name and make it assignable later to my business at that point, my LLC. So I can assign that. There's different ways to fill this out. What you usually want to see on a residential property is you are not allowed to assign the contract. That's normal. That's about 85% of the time. This is the big portion right here, financing. Lots of information in here. Okay, gosh, there's so much information. I'm going to have to do a whole nother video just on the financing, but we'll touch base on it. This actually goes into page 3, this whole bottom part right here. So it says financing, goes all the way down here, all that information, then all this information right down here as well. Not only about how you're contingent upon financing, but also what if scenarios in there too. So financing, it asks about what type of loan. So you're getting a conventional, FHA, which stands for Federal Housing Administration, or VA loan, or other. VA is Veterans Association, or other. There's also a USDA loan that's, yes, like the beef. Yes, they do provide loans, believe it or not, that you can put in there. Now, if you were not able to get one of those loans, I want an FHA loan, but I'm approved for a conventional only, then you could potentially back out of the transaction and still get your escrow deposit back. Same with the VA loans. Fixed or adjustable rate. That has to be filled in there too. What if I can't get approved for a fixed rate? And then what is that rate? I can get approved for a 12% rate. Yeah, no, I don't want the house if that's all I can get approved for. So you want it to be the going rate is typically what you see in there. But I can also get approved for an adjustable rate, but not a fixed rate because my credit's not good, I have too many expenses, whatever it is. But the buyer is able to now back out and still get their escrow deposit if they're not able to get approved for that. The term. What is the amount of time that the loan will be and how long will you have that loan for? That took a minute to get through there. Is it a 15-year loan? Is it a 20? Is it a 30? Typically, we're going to see 30-year loans, and that's what we're going to put in there. If you can only get approved for a 10-year loan or an ARM or something like that, you could potentially back out and get your escrow deposit back. Application. How soon should that buyer be making that application? In today's world, they've already made the application when they're looking for houses. Most agents will work with somebody that already has an application put in. But if they don't, here's the timeline, and then they have to show proof of that, what the application time is. The rest of it is going to be what if scenarios. What if the buyer backs out for no reason, they get approved, all this is taken care of, and they back out? Well, then they would lose their escrow deposit. What if they met some of these requirements? Well, then we would have to look at the what if scenarios, which we'll make another video on, and figure out what happens at that point. The other piece in here was it talks about being diligent. quite a bit in the financing piece. Being diligent about getting the application, diligent about providing information to the broker, and then the selling and the buying broker at that time. So what is diligent? My definition of diligent might be different than the buyers, than the sellers, than the buyer's agent, than the seller's agent. It's all up for speculation at that point. So what is diligency? So you got to be very careful. These contracts can be interpreted differently, especially when they talk about being diligent about something. You might feel they are, they might feel they're not. And then there'll be a battle over an escrow deposit potentially at some point. All right, so hopefully that gives you a lot of information about what's going on in that contract. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, bartomeo.com, or just type in Bartomeo on Google and you'll see all kinds of stuff. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, I'll pop up everywhere. If you have any questions, hit me up. Have a great day, guys.